And to start off, we got kind of a quick review before we get too far. So last chapter, we talked about one equation. We didn't do a whole lot with it, but we kind of introduced it. We talked about the slope-intercept equation, which is y equals mx plus b. This whole lesson is going to be using the slope-intercept equation. Actually, we're going to have like 2 or 3 lessons that use this. So slope-intercept, y equals mx plus b. M is our slope. B is our y-intercept, or where our graph crosses the y-axis. Got to close my parentheses right there. So, when we do slope-intercept, the only thing that is going to change is m is going to have a number, and b is going to have a number. Y and x, we might fill in, but if we're just making our formula, we just leave it as y and x. We don't do anything with it. Most of the time. We will a little bit today, but not a whole lot. So if I'm going to write an equation of a line with a slope of -4/5 and a y-intercept of 7, all I need to do is fill in -4/5 is my slope. That's going to go into my m. 7 is my y-intercept. That's going to go into my b. All I need to do is fill in m and b with these numbers. So if I'm going to make this equation, I'm just going to go y equals, sorry, yeah, I wrote regular 4, not -4. That one more time. Alright, so my m, -4/5. So I'm going to put -4/5, and then I have x, and then I'm going to go plus, my y-intercept is 7, so I'm putting plus and 7. That is my equation in slope-intercept form. This next one, what is an equation of a line with slope 3/2 and y-intercept -1? Just like before, I got my m right here. I got my b. I just need to fill them in. Y equals, actually that's 3/2. I think I maybe said 3/4. Alright. My m is 3/2. I'm going to go x. And then I could do plus -1 because my y-intercept, my b is -1. Or I can just go -1. Either one is fine. Doesn't really matter.
Is it the same answer?
Same answer either way. I like -1 better because it's less to write and it's kind of easier to look at, but it does not matter. Same answer either way. So, for your first in-class problem, I want you to write an equation for a line with a slope of -12 and a y-intercept of 18. And then we'll have somebody write on the board for us in just a minute. Actually, probably like 30 seconds, but pretty good.
Oh, look.
What's the equation?
Am I going to say bless you?
Bless him.
Thank you.
What's that equation we're using?
That's 18.
It's y equals mx plus b, right? What's m? Yep, so you're going to use this equation right here. But instead of m, you're going to go -12. And then what's b?
Yes, Tyson.
What's the y-intercept? 18. So we have plus 18 on the end. So the only thing that changes is m and b. And we're going to have somebody do this on the board for us. Pick somebody random. Kinsey, write this one on the board for us. You're so close, Chase. Alright, Kinsey's going to write this on the board for us. Then we'll keep going.
Yeah.
So we're going to get y equals -12x plus 18. Good. So this is one of the few times where you don't have to put the m as a fraction. Because they gave you just a regular number, you can leave it as a -12. That's fine. But if it wanted you to make it a fraction, like if we were going to graph this, we'd go -12/1. I would take either answer right now. So I like the fraction better, but I won't count you wrong if you didn't make it. Nice job, Kinsey. All right, so we're going to get into making equations of lines that are graphed to start with. So I'm going to start by making my equation of this red line on the top right here. So I'm still going to use y equals mx plus b. And I need to find my m, and I need to find my b. So b is usually the easiest one to find. B is the y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis. The y-axis is up and down, right here. So it's going to cross right here at this point, which is negative 2. My b is negative 2. I need to find my slope now, which means I need to find another point on the line. And from now on, pretty much, they're not going to give you extra points. You got to find them yourself. So I'm going to look at this graph, and I don't know where this is, but I know where this is. This is right here exactly on the corner. So I can find my slope now by using these 2 points. I'm going to go up 1, 2, right 1. Because I'm going up, my slope is positive, and then I'm going over 1. And because, even though 2 over 1 is really 2, we're just going to leave it as a fraction. So, I've done all my work, I just need to make my actual answer. I'm going to go y equals, m is 2 over 1. Then I'm going to put my x. And then, instead of doing plus negative 2, I'm going to go minus 2. You can do plus negative, that's fine, nothing wrong with it. But I'm going to go minus 2 instead. Luis, wake up, man. Yeah, notes to do. Work in your notes, man. Remember, these are your points. Alright, we're going to do another one. This time, we're going to find the equation of this red line down here. This red line. So, I need my m and I need my b before I can make my equation. And I'm going to start with b because that's usually easier. I cross the y-axis on this red line right here, which is at 1, 2. My b is 2. And I need to pick another point to find my slope. There's quite a few of them in here. I'm just going to pick the easy one that's close to it, right there. So remember, we're always going from left to right. My slope, I'm going down 1. And if I'm going down, what's my slope? Negative. So I'm going down 1, negative 1, over 1. My slope is negative 1 over 1. Which is really negative 1, but let's keep it as a fraction. Because that's going to be a lot nicer once we graph these. Alright, so I've done all the work, but I need to make my actual answer. I'm going to go y equals negative 1 over 1, x, and then I'm going to do plus 2 because it's positive. Yeah. I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Yeah. I guess one more. Well, we're going to call it close.
Wait, what if...
Alright, for the next thing, I want you to find the equation of this blue line now. And I know it might not be perfectly on, it might not be perfectly on a point, but we can kind of assume it's there. Because I made this up and it's hard to get them perfect. So for example, it's going to cross the y-axis at exactly right there. We'll say that. So on your own, I want you to find the equation of this blue line. So find your m, find your b, and then somebody will write their equation on the board for us. Did you have a question, Kinsey? Now you got to put them in your equation. So you got to put them in like you did right here.
And that's all?
That's it. Done. All right, Moses. This one on board for us. Write this one on board.
Give me my pencil back, Grace.
Kinsey will carry it. Adelia, sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah, how do you
find like the other point? Like I found like how
Is
you.
it gonna be decimal?
No. So what, that's one point. Where's another point? Yeah. So, I know it looks slightly off, but we're gonna assume it's good enough.
Okay.
So we're gonna assume that's good enough. Because that one is really close, and I made it on my own, so. One thing we can't do, like this one right here, we couldn't call this a point, that's too far, but that one was really close. This one's too far, that one's too far, but this one we can do.
Yes, I got a question. How do you find the other point? So like -2, right? So I don't know how you can find
Like-
that point by the x. Like how should
Right
you get that point?
Because see how it crosses
No.
like exactly on these grid lines?
Find it.
That's how.
No, that's what I'm not asking. Like, it's confusing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're saying. Try one more time. One more time.
No. No, never mind.
Okay. Yes. So you want to find where they cross grid lines, these
I'm
kind
like
of gray lines.
confused. I'm so confused.
Alright.
You gotta
Alright.
find it again.
I'll do a minute, did
I get everything except these.
D.
There's no numbers on
Well, I
that.
didn't know you wanted to.
Yeah, the whole thing.
He said solve.
Everything.
He said solve it. Ew, what is
What?
that?
What are you talking about? Look at 1, 2.
Oh, I thought that was a 3. It's okay. I
What
thought you said
is
2 and wrote
that?
down 3, but it's a fraction.
What the heck?
Alright.
That's 3 of those 4.
No, that's a 2 over 3.
Come on,
Where's
guys.
it? Alright, what's your B?
That looks like a
Oh,
stick
the
figure.
B is, isn't where the lines cross?
It's the y-axis.
Yeah, where it crosses
Yeah.
the y-axis. B is your y. So where does it cross the y?
There's too many lines on this side.
It's the blue one. Where's the blue one? There's a dot there. There you
Yeah,
go.
right here.
What number is that?
That's what do you mean what number is that? It's
And then your
0. It's 0 dash negative 1.
So it's negative 1 that we care about.
Oh, what
Negative
the
1.
heck? Since okay.
Negative 1. Alright. And we're not done yet. We've done most of the work, but we've got to make our actual equation now. So y equals,
Is it really -1? Is it? I thought it was 1.
no, it's negative 1, but our slope is not negative 2. It's positive. Because we're going up 2, right 3.
Yeah.
Up to.
Remember, from left to right. There you go. So we get 2 over 3x
But-
minus 1.
Yeah, I'm not even. Minus 2. Right?
No, you're getting 2, minus 1.
That's what I did do it, but I just done doing it.
We even said minus
No,
1.
I'm just kidding.
This way, one of these days.
It's just this.
One of these days. Never letting you use this again.
Children.
You're gonna be sad because it's gonna be super fun. Alright, so our equation y equals 2 over 3, positive 2 over 3, because to go from left to right, we're going up 1, 2, right 1, 2, 3. And then my y-intercept is right here at negative 1. So that's a minus 1. It's kind of hard to see, but it's minus 1. Alright, that was the first way we are finding an equation of a line. We're also going to find equations when we have just 2 points. So I'm going to find the equation in slope-intercept form that represents the line that passes through points 2, 1 and 5, negative 8. So this is really just an algebra problem. We just got to set it up a little bit. All right. So we need to make an equation in y equals mx plus b. To start with, we're going to find our slope, because that's our m, right? My slope is, actually no, I forgot I changed this one. That was an old one I used, but I like this one better. Our slope is y minus y1 over x minus x1. What I'm going to do is we're going to find slope, and then we're going to pick a point to plug in to find b. Because we can find slope between these 2 points. We did it on our warm-up, and we did it last lesson. So I'm going to find my slope. I'm going to go 1 minus negative 8 over 2 minus 5, and let's see. 1 minus negative 8. What's minus negative really?
Plus.
Plus. So that's really a 9 over 2 minus 5 is negative 3. But I should reduce this. This is going to be 3 over negative 1. That's my m. 3 over -1 is my m. But I need to find my b. And it's not super difficult to find, it's just kind of annoying. I'll tell you that right now, straight up. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so I have my m. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a point given in my problem, and I'm just going to pick the first one. I'm going to pick this point right here. And this is an x and a y, right? I'm going to take this x and y, and I'm going to plug it into my equation along with my m. And after I do that, so y is 1, I'm going to go 1 equals, my m is 3 over -1, and between m and x there's a times. So 3 over -1 times, x from this point is 2, and then I have plus b. All I have left is a b, which means I can use my algebra, I'll use PEMDAS backwards, and solve for b. So I took my point right here, I took this 2, 1, and I just plugged it into my equation. X went in for x, y went in for y. I already found the m, and we're just going to solve it. So, to start with, we should plug in this 3 over -1 times 2 into Desmos. And I'll show you that real quick, just to make sure you're on the same page. So if I'm going to go 3 over -1 times 2 in Desmos, just a second. There we go. Okay, so when I do 3 divided by -1 like this, I'm going to go over here to the right and like click, and then I'm going to go times 2. 3 over -1 and then to the right and then times 2. If I don't do that, if I'm down here and then I go times 2, I'm going to get a weird answer. Because my answer before was -6, this answer is -1.5. -1.5 isn't right. So I got to go over here to the right and then go times 2 like this to get -6. So keep that in mind when you do this. So I did 3 over -1 times 2 in Desmos, and I got -6. I got plus b right here. I still have 1. And then I only got one thing to get rid of. I just have to get rid of that -6. And Ruben, how am I going to get rid of that -6? Yep. We're just going to plus it on both sides. And I'm going to get 7 equals b. Just like before, I have all the information I need. I just need to actually write it out. So I got my m, I got my b. I need to fill them in. My final answer. So all of this is just the work to get to our final answer. Final answer. Y equals 3 over -1 x, and then b is 7. I'm going to go plus 7. That is my final answer. So this type of problem, it's not super tough, but it is kind of time consuming and kind of annoying sometimes. So we're going to practice one more. You guys are going to do one, and that'll be it. I'll let you. Are you still working on this one, Luis? I got it. All right. So we're going to find the equation in slope-intercept form. It represents the line that passes through the points 3, -2, and 1, -3. So just like before, we're going to use y equals mx plus b. And let's start by finding our slope. And I'm going to have you guys help me out. Ashlyn, if I'm going to find the slope between these 2 points, I have to put that in the fraction, right? What's going to be on the top of my fraction before we even do any math? What's on top, x or y?
Oh, -2.
There you go. Yep. -2 minus -3, which means on the bottom I have 3 minus 1. Nice job. All right. We're going to keep going through. Gabe, what is 2 minus -3? Or excuse me, -2 minus -3. What's that really? Because we are really plussing 3. -2 plus 3 is 1. Over, and then on the bottom, 3 minus 1 is 2. That one was easy. So this is my m. We just found our m. Because that's our slope. So my m is 1/2. That's the first part of my problem. The b is kind of annoying to find, but we can do it. So, to find b, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my m, and I'm going to pick a point. We actually have 2 options. We can do the first one or the second one. It does not matter which one you do. Doesn't matter. So Ivory, which one do you want to do? First or second? It doesn't matter. You're going to get the same answer either way.
Left or right?
For this point, 3, -2, or this one, 1, -3. You got no. Are you gonna do you want first or second?
First or second?
Just tell me first or second. It doesn't matter. First one. Okay. So if I'm gonna use the first one, I have x and then y inside my first one, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this 3 and this -2, and I'm gonna put it in for my x and y in my equation. My y is -2, so I'm gonna go -2 equals m is 1/2. I just found that. There's a times after that between the m and the x. Times x is 3. And then I have a plus b. So we have to solve it for b. So if we're going to solve this for b, Moses, what's the first thing we have to do?
Multiply the third, right?
Yep.
Oh wait, put in, go to decimals, right?
Yeah, and plug in 1/2 times 3, right? Which is 1.5. 1.5. So I get -2 equals 1.5 plus b. Adelia, what am I doing next?
We are adding 1.5. Wait, no, we're minusing 1.5.
There you go.
Putting it on the other side.
We're going to minus 1.5 on both sides. And I'm going to get -3.5 equals b. All right, Magi. We have everything we need, but we need to write out our final answer. What's it going to look like?
It's gonna look like y equals
Yep.
1/2.
1/2.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus -3.5.
Don't forget your x.
Oh yeah, x.
And then plus -3.5 is fine. You could have done minus 3.5. That would have been fine too. It doesn't matter. Nice job. All right. Do you guys want to practice one more of these, or you want to just do it in class?
Practice.
Practice one more? Okay. But I'm going to have you guys help me out. It's too late. Too late, Moses. Okay, so let's do this bottom one. We're going to find an equation that goes through 4, 8, and 6, 6. So, let's start off. We're going to take it kind of a piece at a time. What I want you to do, find your slope. On your own, find your slope. So on your own paper, find your slope. Then we'll kind of come back and check our work, and then we'll keep going. How about you work on this one that we're all working on together?
I'm just trying to figure out this part. I just need one more step. I can't figure out.
X is the 3. X is 3.
Which one are we doing over there?
Hey Ruben, whatever happened to your Chromebook? I should bring you.
They like it. Okay, that was just the first piece. Find your slope.
Alrighty, I guess I better do it or else I won't get credit for it. Alright.
I did that and I get equals n. See, this is what I get stuck at. Is plus b, so like, I don't know how to do
So we'll go over that here in a second. We're gonna do something there. So we'll talk about that, because that's like most people are stuck on. All right, so let's go through. So Alizea, what'd you get for your slope?
I got 2 over -2. Oh no. Oh yeah.
That's true, but let's reduce it to 1 over -1. So if you left it like this, it's not wrong. We can just reduce it to 1 over -1. Because you can divide by 2, divide by 2. All right, so this is our m right here. So I'm doing y equals mx plus b. I found my m, 1 over negative 1. Now I gotta find the b, and this is where I think most people are getting confused. So, what we're gonna do is we are gonna pick either the first or the second point. It does not matter which one. I think we are on Jace. Which point do you want to pick? First or second? It doesn't matter. What?
Second.
Alright. So we're going to use our second point. So after we find our slope and I pick the second point, I do not care about the first one. I'm done with it. I already used it. I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to take my second point right here. I have an x, I have a y, and I'm going to plug them into y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in 6 for the x, and I'm going to plug in 6 for the y. And I've already got my 1 over negative 1 for m. So I'm going to plug those in. 6 goes in for y. It's going to equal 1 over negative 1 times 6 goes in for x. And then I got plus b. On your own, I want you to finish solving it for b now. Finish solving it for b. And then just finish the problem off. Because after you find b, you have all the information you need.
What if we didn't change 2 over negative 2?
You're still going to get the same answer. But you might have to... Yeah, it should still be the same answer. Cold, Kinsey?
Yes,
A little
very cold.
You should wear a coat.
I have a coat. I just lost it someplace here.
I've got like 2 sweatshirts in here. You're
Willing.
you're okay to grab if you want.
No,
I don't know what clean they are, but
I'm good.
How can you be?
I don't mind. If you want to.
Yes. Don't worry. What's this side?
There's a decimal?
Negative. So it'd be plus negative 6. So that's
Just plus 6.
or plus 6.
Because that's already a minus, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to plus it to get rid of the
So
opposite.
okay. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
Get my answer.
I'm very tired, and I don't
Let's see, so you're combining steps. Okay.
I did it, Mr. Golfy.
10 gold stars.
I think I should get 11.
But over here it's 6.
President may not be
All right.
back anymore, Jason.
Let's go over this. And I think we're on. So Kinsey,
No, don't say that. That was weird.
One.
what's the first thing we're gonna do on this one, Kinsey?
You're going to, what did I do? I got the answer. Hold on.
I don't know. What did you do?
Shut up, Moses.
Count with your fingers.
6 equals 6 plus b.
So we multiply right here, right? And we got what?
Negative 6.
-6. So I get 6 equals -6 plus b. And almost done. Luis, what's my next step? What's my next step? Yep. And what do I get after I add 6 over here? 12. I get 12 equals b. Alright. I've done all the work, but I have to write my final answer. Beto, what's this final answer going to look like? What's your final answer in this problem? After we plug in my m and our b that we found.
No.
Just let him finish.
1 over negative.
That's the reduced one. That wouldn't.
X plus 12.
Perfect. That is my final answer. All right. Let me think.
Okay, we're good.
Do I want you to do one more in class, or do I want to give you time for the homeworks?
Mr. Golfy. Time for the homework.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give you time for the homework.
I like time for homework.
All right. So we're gonna skip these last 2 in-class problems, and you're gonna go straight to the exit ticket. The exit ticket does have one of these though, so don't think you gotta.
Wow.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna have you do your exit ticket. I will turn on Socrative, and then I will put your homework on Google Classroom. I have no idea what you just said.
Can we listen to music?
Yes, on headphones. On the